Hi, EasyMan Games here, and I'm getting Photoshop again soon. This is really exciting for me because I get to make easier thumbnails and do videos like ranking my least favorite shiny Pokemon and how I'd fix them. So that's pretty cool. With Photoshop on my mind though, I decided I wanted to look through my files and see if I had any old Photoshops, or at least screenshots of any. And turns out I actually had quite a few to look at. So I figured might as well make a video into it. And I don't know if I haven't made it clear, but this video isn't going to be scripted. It's going to be mostly off the seat of my pants, or whatever the saying is. Except for one part. One part will be scripted. I'll get there. And also, you might be noticing the elephant in the room. Not her. She's fine. The camera quality. Excuse my French, but it might seem a little lay dog shit compared to what it was before. But that's because I'm using a different camera so that I can actually record easier, which was one of my biggest struggles in catching every Pokemon, which you should totally check that video out. Now, with that being said, time to get started with the video. Okay, so here we are on my OneDrive for old Smash alts. This is going to be my second biggest file for all my Photoshops that I could find. Also, if you see my eyes looking back and forth, that's because I'm trying to make sure my camera doesn't go black. I'm pointing towards my camera. There. I'm trying to make sure my camera doesn't go black while recording. But I'll try and maintain looks. So, Smash Bros. Is really bad when it comes to Pokemon alts. Like, almost none of them have direct origins, and the ones that do are like far and few between, or are like vaguely based off the origins instead. So like, for example, Greninja has a black alt. This is based off of its shiny, but it's not shiny Greninja. Like, why not just make shiny Greninja? Or a better example, since some people might say, oh, that's just a black Greninja, even though they chose it for Greninja's alternate color when they usually just do the next alt afterwards. Well, there's a purple Charizard, which is a reference to Gen 2 Charizard shiny, which is pretty cool, but it's not quite perfect either. The green isn't right, and I'm pretty sure the fire isn't right. So, with that in mind, in 2024, I made these alts, making the shinies correct. So, here's what we have. Also ignore the headphones. I'm trying to make sure that I'm talking loud enough and the music's correct. This is Lucario's shiny, and I made it into a Smash alt via Photoshop. Now, I'm not well... Okay, well, I'm glad that I caught the camera falling going. Camera. I'm not editing this, by the way, because my camera will go black if I switch between tabs, and even then it will sometimes go black, so this'll stay. So, note, I'm not a big game dev. So, I've taken game dev, but I'm not like a game developer. I just know kind of the process behind game development. So, making a render in Photoshop is not as easy as modeling a model for an alt in Photoshop instead. So, if you think this looks good and it's like, wow, this is so amazing, Nintendo should take skills from you. And I'm like, I just used Photoshop. I didn't render anything. That being said, while I'm not the biggest fan of Shiny Lucario, I really liked the way how this alt turned out. It looks nice, and it looks better than all of Lucario's other alts, somehow. Fun fact, Lucario is the only character in Smash Bros. To not have any listed origins for any of his alternate costumes. Rob, the NES toy, has more alternate costumes with origins Then Lucario. Sorry, it makes me mad. I'm not the biggest fan of Lucario, but even I feel pity for him in Smash Bros. The next ult that I want to cover is Mewtwo. This isn't perfect since the skin tone is a little off, but I think it looks good enough. It looks nice. And admittedly, I'm not the biggest fan of shiny Mewtwo, but I'm not the biggest fan of Mewtwo's ults either. That being said, the Shadow Mewtwo ult that isn't actually Shadow Mewtwo but based off of Shadow Lugia is one of my favorite ults in the game, so Mewtwo does have the better end of the stick. That's Jigglypuff. Oh, oops. Okay, we'll talk about that one later. Jigglypuff was there because I did something special for Jigglypuff, and as you can see, I did something special for Pichu as well. Let's talk about it. Pichu doesn't change much in its shiny. This is one of the shinies that I'm okay with not being represented in Smash Bros. That's because it has alternate little headbands and stuff. But I think it would have been really cool if these alternate little headbands got different tones like Pikachu. So Pikachu's ult had a shiny ult where it had the choice band. I'll probably be putting the choice band on screen, but I really like the ult personally. I know a lot of people don't like the ult, but I do. And I figured I'd do the same for Pichu if they were to do Shiny Pichu. It has a focus band, I think? Focus band or focus scarf. So I just made this shiny ult. This white Pichu is based off of the Ilex Force Pichu. And the spiky-eared Pichu ult is one of my favorite ults in the game. One of the few Pokemon ults that are actually represented and represented well. Sign me up. But Ilex Pikachu with the spiky ear was meant to be white. So I made a reference to this ult as well. Right here. Alright, the next ult is Pokemon Trainer. This is the Charizard that I was talking about earlier. So, and I just didn't bother photoshopping it, I just fixed the green. I actually forgot the tail a little bit. I can't see it fully because my camera's blocking it a little bit, but, you know, it's there. I decided to make two shiny ults for Pokemon Trainer. One off of the Gen 2 shinies, so that I can go with Charizard, and one based off of its current modern day shinies. Pokemon Trainer is based off of Ash. I just feel like there should be a Pokemon ult based off of Ash. I also gave him John. So we move on to the next ult. And this is probably my favorite ult I made. This is based off of the... I don't need to explain these origins. Also, I don't know why the black background is black. I made it white when I made these in 2024. But first, let's start with Pokemon Trainer Red. And I made this ult based off of Pokemon Masters design of Red, which is, as much as I hate Pokemon Masters, they have some fire Pokemon suits for their characters. I don't know, I don't play the game. I don't know what they're called. And Red probably has one of my favorite ones. So I had to make an ult referencing that. I chose specific artwork for Squirtle and Ivysaur. I don't know what I did for Charizard, because I can't remember. But Squirtle is supposed to be more based off of its Pokemon Go rendering, and Ivysaur is supposed to be more based off of its Pokemon Sleep rendering. And I think both these came out very nicely. He was a pain though. That's just Mewtwo that I use for a reference. That's just Jigglypuff. These are Jigglypuff's ults. And yeah, it's also one that barely changes. This is one that's fine. However, it actually had an ult back in Melee, I think, where it was very close to the shiny. It had the green eyes, and I think it was a tad bit paler, but not pale enough. So I had two references by making like one of the hats pale and stuff. I didn't do the melee ult because I didn't feel like it. Also, I forgot at the time. So, yeah. This is fine. This one, I mentioned Greninja earlier, but come on, look at this ult. This ult looks so much cooler than all of Greninja's other ults in Smash Bros. Why couldn't they give us Shiny Greninja? And after that, all the other Pokemon are represented in some way or form. Incineroar has his Shiny in Smash Bros. Albeit a little bit off, but it's like so minimal that I don't really care. And Pikachu also has his ult represented via being represented, like I said earlier. So, that's pretty cool. Are there any others? I'm checking. I'm talking to myself, by the way. No, there aren't any of. This was also made in 2024, around the announcement of Pokemon ZA. Now, personally, I thought it would have been really funny to Photoshop a fake Mega, and that's what I did. And then I made Perfection. At least that's what I think I made. It turns out, not many of my friends think I made Perfection. I warn you, this will be the last time you'll see Mega Shuckle for the first time. This is Mega Shuckle. He is a beauty that I made. I'll show what... These are his space stats. He has... All I did was give him 100 speed. That's it. That's all I invested. Since every single Mega Pokemon gets extra stats, I gave him 100 extra speed. Since I thought it would have been really funny to make him this ultra fast being. And it's not even the shell that makes him super bulky. It's... Shuckle's just super bulky. This is the Mega Zone, Mega Stone, and I actually gave Shuckle a new move. The new move is Shuckle Berry Shake. It heals 50% of your HP, and if it has no item, it has a 30% chance to get Berry Juice. I didn't want to make this overpowered, because Shuckle's already pretty tanky, so giving him a healing move, one that heals him even more, is really insane. But, I didn't want regular Shuckle to be kind of worthless, even though he can already learn Sticky Webs, so it's not inherently worthless. I don't know, I just wanted to give Shuckle a healing move. We give into some other things that I made. First of all, this is a shiny that I made. I made it purple. That's because, I can't use it. It would have no shiny if I didn't make it purple. Now, there's a lot to go on here, so I'm gonna go in order. The Berry Juice is only for base Shuckle, because Mega Stone is taking up an item slot. So, you can't use Berry Shake on Mega Shuckle and get healing. That would be actually insane. It is still Bug Rock. It is like Mega Sceptile, where it shoots its tail, and you can see the tail get launched and its attack. Or in Shuckle's case, you can see its shell get launched. In its shiny, its shell was said to be purple, even though it's not. So, I just made Shuckle purple instead. The shell will be shiny in attacks. This wouldn't fix Showdown if this happened, but if it would for everything else. No more Shell Smash. This thing cannot get Shell Smash, because this thing gets Power Trick. Alright, and then we have me giving it Lunge. Lunge for 2 reasons. One, it's a good bug move for it, so that I can actually do bug damage if you want to do power trick strats. And 2, these are my favorite Photoshops I've ever made. They are very emotional to me. They aren't the best ones I ever made. I'd say the best Photoshops I've made are probably the Smash results. But these mean a lot to me. These are Megazords turned into Pokemon, and I'll get into why they mean a lot. But I'm going to try and go in order. The first one is the Dragon Zord. I made it after Mega Tyranitar. I feel like it's fitting. It has the big old tail, has kind of the thing in the back. This was made before Iron Thorn. No, this was made like right as Iron Thorns was. This was made like right as Scarlet and Violet was released. And I didn't want to do any Scarlet and Violet spoilers. So there's one. Who am I kidding? I don't care. This is the Falcon Zord by... and I made it Talonflame. I think this one looks really good. Probably one of the best looking Photoshops of these bunch. Looking at them all, they're all aged, but these are still my favorite Photoshops, and I'll get into why. I can go in order. Okay. So you kind of already saw them all, but that's okay. I don't really care. This is the... this is the... what's the name? Sky Phoenix. And this was piloted by the Red Zero Ranger. I'm not going to reveal who the Ranger's name is. I'm going to see if people can figure it out. But people probably will. And I made Ho-Oh after this because I didn't want to do Moltres since it's really complicated. And Ho-Oh's probably the next best thing to a Phoenix. I don't know why they're not in download order, but the next one is White Tiger Zord in its battle mode, I think. This is warrior mode, not battle mode. Got it. White Tiger warrior mode I did different from the White Tiger just regular little cat form. Just because I could. That's it. And you know, I think this one looks nice. I did 2 for the Turbo Zord because I didn't know which one I wanted to do for the Turbo Zord. So I did Vigavolt. I think this one was really challenging, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. This Zord's supposed to have electrical properties, or whatever, from what I could remember. And so I had to choose an electric type of some sorts. And I put the number 1 on it. Because I could. This is the White Tiger Zord when it's not in its warrior form. I did Hisui Arcanine. These are... I'm not happy with this one, but since there's a much better Pokemon I think could work, but at the time I was happy with what I did. I already went over the Dragon Zord. Brachiosaurus. This was for the Black Thunder Ranger. And it's a Carrier Zord. These are very special types of Megazords. And one of my favorite details of it is that the Brachiosaurus has like yellow, blue, red, the main rangers or whatever. And then I put red, blue, yellow as it is on the Zord. And I really like that. this is the red Battle Zord. I said I wanted to avoid Scarlet and Violet Pokemon that would work better, but Armarouge was already announced, so I made an exception for him, especially since nothing else fit better. And I'd probably, this is my least favorite one that I did. I think it looks quite ugly. I just realized I haven't been recording with a camera. Okay. This is the Super Zeozord, I think. I did Starmie because I think this one is so specific. I would probably redo this one as well. It's not even red. I already talked about the Falcon Zord, so I'm going to skip it. This is the Shogun Zord. There aren't really any Shoguns in Pokemon, so this was the best I could do. But I do think it turned out really nice. So that's cool. This is the other Turbo Zord I did, and that's because I think this one fits better, but we never see Genesect actually like this in Pokemon, so I didn't want to include it. And that's it. That's a file now. Okay, so if you didn't see the pattern with those Megazords specifically, those were all Megazords owned by Tommy Oliver, which is probably the face of Power Rangers. He is my favorite Ranger. He's my dad's favorite Ranger. He's just very special to us. And if I'm filming this correctly and if I'm doing things right, this should be uploaded on September 4th. The actor for Tommy Oliver, also known as Jason David Frank's birthday. Or at least, it would have been. Is this recording? Yeah, it is. Okay. And my mic's on. I'm not going to risk it this time. So I'm just going to keep this part in. Say, hello, Future Easy Man Games here. Two things to note. One, if I haven't made it clear, my mic was on mute, so I had to re-record this again. And second, remember how I said earlier in this video that there was going to be a scripted part? That's not true anymore. I couldn't do this part with a script because I didn't know how to transition nicely, how to do things respectfully. So I'm just gonna wing it. On November 19th of 2022, Jason David Frank took his own life. And it really sucks. Jason, he was my favorite Power Ranger, as I said, and he's meant a lot to me. He's meant even more to my dad, and kind of sucks that he's gone now, but I got over it eventually. Obviously, this video has kind of rekindled those old wounds, or whatever the saying is, but yeah. This is like, I'm recording this right before 9 p.m. on September 4th, and I'm trying to get this out on September 4th. So it's kind of stressful right now recording this, but that's fine. I don't know how to end this video properly, so I'll just say, if you're ever feeling like you want to take your own life, please call 988. That is the hotline for taking your own life. And you can visit Below Average Utah Dad's channel. He does 22 push-ups every day for veterans. And also, he has a number where you can contact him if you want. Just note that you matter to someone, even if you don't think you matter to someone. Like, you do. Think about your loved ones. Think if you don't think you matter, think about those who think you matter. You matter to me. I enjoy when people watch my channel, so you matter to me. You matter to someone out there. And that's the lightest way how I can put it. I almost said the word YouTube doesn't like multiple times. Probably a good thing that the first audio wasn't recorded because I definitely said it. But yeah, those were all my Photoshops. If you ever feel like taking your own life, call 988 or contact Below Average Utah Dad or someone that you know. Until next time, peace.